Well, evolution isn't proved through one transitional fossil. It's proved through a whole concatenation of pieces of evidence put together. It's an inferential science, a historical science. But as it so happens, the week I debated Gish, this little beastie here, Ambulocetus natans, was discovered and published in Science, so I have the slide. So I threw it right up there and said, there you go. There is a, so you can see there was a fossil and a fossil and a big gap, so I put it in there and he said, well, now there's 2 gaps in the fossil. And this is why it's a fallacy. Having more evidence is not bad. It doesn't create, yes, of course it creates more things we have to explain, but that's good. That supports the theory. I got this idea originally when I was investigating the Holocaust deniers, actually, who would make a similar kind of chart. Show me just one piece of evidence that proves the Holocaust. Well, the Holocaust is not a thing that happened on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and there's the weapon that proves it. I mean, it takes this huge concatenation of pieces of evidence from all over that puts together a whole story of how it unfolded. And they would say things like, I remember one of them was, why doesn't the door on the gas chamber at Mauthausen lock? Explain that one, Shermer. They had a whole list of these challenges. It's like, I don't know. What difference does that make? Well, because if the door doesn't lock, they couldn't have locked anybody in there to gas it. So it wasn't used for gassing. If they weren't gassing anybody at Mauthausen, they weren't gassing anybody at any of the camps. If they weren't gassing anybody at any of the camps, there is no Holocaust. So you see that kind of chain of reasoning. And that's exactly what the creationists do. By the way, I went to Mauthausen. I went to the gas chamber. I opened the door. It doesn't lock. Whoa, I thought, okay, that is a little weird. So I'm there with the little guy at these camps that are like museums that have a guy taking around. And he's like, the door doesn't lock? I said, yeah, it's kind of weird. You know, you pull the handle down and a little slot comes up. And it's supposed to go into a slot to lock it. But there's no slot here. It's just jamming into the door jamb. So it's locked. So I got inside it and told my buddy Alex to hold the door and see if I could push it open. Sure enough, I could just shoulder it open. Okay, that's a little weird if you stuck people in there. They're not going to stand there. So anyway, so it's okay. Let's get the next person up. So we got the next person up, and the door doesn't lock. I said, no, the door doesn't lock. Don't you think that's a little weird? No. It's like, okay. Then I got the next person up. Then I got the head of the whole camp. So he's like, the door doesn't lock? I said, no, the door doesn't lock. It's kind of weird. The next thing I know, he calls me into his office like half an hour later. He's got the head of the ministry, the head of the interior of all of Austria on the phone. And he's like, why do you want to know this? I said, okay, I'm not a Holocaust denier. I'm not a neo-Nazi. I'm just here to debunk these guys. And they have one of these things. Why doesn't the door lock? I have no idea why the door doesn't lock. Okay. Anyway, like a year later, I found out that wasn't the original door. Somebody swiped the original door and put it on a model in Czechoslovakia decades later. Anyway, so but that's the kind of thing that people on the fringes throw at the mainstream and think that that's going to overturn the whole theory. We just have one little thing. Anyway, fossil fallacy. In fact, we have lots of these transitional fossils with for whales, and not just for whales, but for lots of different species, which I'll write through here. Like the Cambrian explosion is filled with these different little sequences. I'll kind of march along here. An embarrassment of fossil riches. Here's the branching bush just for humans, right there, and these are our great ape cousins, such as going all the way back to 6 to 7 million years ago. Australopithecus africanus 3 to 4 million years ago. Kenyanthropus at 3.5. Lucy, or Australopithecus afarensis, 3.2. Homo habilis 1.9. Homo erectus 1.8. Homo erectus 1.5. Homo neanderthals 500,000. And all the way down to our last common ancestor of every human on Earth that left Africa about 100 to 160,000 years ago, in which we then lived simultaneously with Neanderthals, and finally reached the pinnacle of human evolution. So, in fact, we have lots and lots and lots of evidence. When they say, just show me one transitional fossil, we can show you lots of them. So the question on the table is life naturally designed or intelligently designed? Design is an interesting word because we would say that the plane is designed. The wings are designed to fly. And I think we would even use that same language for the bird. The wings are designed to fly. The eyes are designed to see. The question then is, who or what is the designer? Now everybody will agree, including creationists, that there's lots of examples of natural design that require no supernatural intervention, like these. Crystals and snowflakes and crystal lattices and beads honeycombs. These don't require the divinity to reach in and stir the particles every 2 minutes or something. This happens naturally, and everybody agrees with that. What Darwin gave us was a natural explanation for how complex living organisms came about. So, for example, if you look at the flipper of a whale, it looks like a fish flipper. Of course, there's certain analogies there that will make sense because you're in a certain medium, like water. But if you strip the flesh off, you get a tetrapod forelimb that looks like ours. So, is that an indication of design from the top down or of history? So, the point of looking at these kinds of structures, anatomical structures like homologies, like these, the tetrapod forelimb, is that they show signs of history. This is a historical science, an inferential science, in which the intelligent designer creationist has the problem of explaining why organisms of such differing functions in differing environments would end up with the same skeletal structure. So we have an explanation for that. It's history, it's evolution. But they go for that supernatural top-down design. And so again, homologies, common anatomy, common ancestry. Like even the whale and the hummingbird have the same anatomical structures. These are not to scale, by the way. Whales still have tiny vestiges of hips and hind limbs buried deep in their bodies. Why would a designer do that? We picture the intelligent designers like an architect or an engineer operating away, working on something. But that's not how it happens. Here's a bestial structure like the Cretaceous snake, Pachyacrus problematicus, had small hind limbs. Like that. They were used that are no longer used today. Same thing with the snakes and whales, useless legs today. Or wings on flightless birds, or the human tailbone, wisdom teeth. We have explanations for these. They were once functional. They're no longer functional. Things like tails on apes they're expensive to run. They use a lot of muscle and tissue and tendons and ligaments and blood vessels and neurons and so on. That's expensive. So if you don't really need it, then natural selection will just simply select it away and put the resources somewhere else. Things like male nipples in the human appendix. What's the purpose of these? I wanted to throw one personal slide in there. So that's my appendix. Not so genetically blessed, and I don't have 6 hours a day to do Pilates. Anyways, and we're often accused of being a non-testable. We're not a testable science, and you're not a testable science, and you're a fake, we're a fake. Well, no, actually, as J.B.S. Haldane said, show me fossil rabbits in the Precambrian, and that would be a refutation of evolution. Or show me fossil trilobites in the same strata as fossil hominids. This never happens. But it would cause a major disruption of the evolutionary story if you actually did find them. So go look, I tell my creationist friends. Go look. I mean, test it. Go on. We're all for it. We'll find some more data. And so additional tests. For example, modern organisms should show a variety of structures from simple to complex, reflecting evolutionary history. Eyes have evolved numerous times of various complexity. And they're upside down and backwards. So, for example, the light comes in this way, and this goes through all these bipolar cells and ganglion cells and all the way up to the light-sensitive rods and cones. So your retina is backwards. The light's facing backwards. Well, why would it be built upside down and backwards? That doesn't strike us intuitively as very intelligently designed. What it looks like is it's cobbled together, it's rigged up historically. And in fact, embryologically speaking, the eye is actually just an extension of the brain. It's coming out from the brain from the inside out. Not the outside in like a Mr. Potato Head. 2 ears from the outside. Okay. So there's a convergence of evidence. For example, if we take something as innocuous as the age of the Earth, which hardly anybody disputes anymore. So these are not just through one dating technique, it's multiple dating techniques. And it's not like that some of them find that the Earth is 10,000 years old and others find that it's 10 billion years old. They all find that it's about 4.6723, whatever, just after the decimal point there. In other words, they have an error